All right. Good afternoon, family. This is a special edition Friday. We in Black History Month, and we just want to talk about some things. We were talking about the Willie Lynch letter and how this particular system has really messed our people up because it was designed to destroy our people, and that's what it's been doing. Um, I know, and I've been wrestling with this idea a lot, and I've had to talk to a couple of my elders about this idea as well, about where Black history, and we talk about inventors, and we talk about scientists, and we talk about people who have done wonderful things to make jobs easier under duress, right? Because that whole Black Holocaust that we suffered, the Ma'afa, the enslavement of African people, the war on African people that took place for well over 500 years, has really helped create another group of people, which is what their intention was. Because as we've seen from the letter, they're talking about remove their mother tongue, make sure that we don't have certain cultural nuances that we had before, even though we know we have cultural nuances that permeate our culture, our society. But we've given up much more than what we gained. Uh, Integration has caused us to lose a lot. And we don't find that an acceptable phrase to say or something to say. But the truth is that we lost almost everything. We lost over 95% of our income. The small towns that we had that went in the 20s and 30s and even before that we had as independent towns, independent of bigger towns that we lived near, have all been basically destroyed. Even in our wonderful city of Flint, if you go and look over there by where Old Clark School was, now where the Golden Leaf is in that area, that was all a black area that most black people lived. The 6th and Liberty Street area, the houses over there where the Howard Estates are now, all of that area used to be black. So, and there were thriving businesses there. I think Mr. Gilchrist had a store over there, and I know there was a pharmacy over there, and there were a few stores that were there. The laundromat. We had our own small city here until, of course, in the late '60s, with what they call urban renewal, which now people call gentrification, which is just a little different, but they used the excuse of running the 475 through the black area in order to break up the business there, remove people from the homes, and disperse black people that lived over there. But, so we have to understand that the system that we are partaking in and being a part of is the same system that's causing us to be separate. There was a marketing scheme that took place when African people in America were given certain rights and freedoms based upon the law. And so when white store owners knew and understood that black people were going to be able to be free, so to speak, and be able to spend their money wherever they chose to, well, they've come up with a marketing scheme for certain things, right? It's been said that Cadillac car and truck was one of those marketing schemes. Certain cigarettes that were made were part of the marketing scheme. Certain beers and alcohols was part of the marketing scheme. And even today, we see people that are the faces of certain alcoholic beverages that have been part of the marketing scheme to get more and more money from out of the black community, and also make sure that you put poison in our black community. So this giving away of things that we did, when at one time, a little bit over 100 years ago, when we had our own towns, we manufactured everything. And one thing that Booker T. Washington told his people that came from the Tuskegee Normal University, I believe that's what it was called. Now it's called Tuskegee Institute. It might be Tuskegee Institute Normal University. It might have been that was the name of it back then. Was even in his 1895 Atlanta Exposition speech, said, "Cast down your buckets where you are. Build for yourself. It doesn't matter," and this is paraphrasing, "it doesn't matter that you get called certain names as long as people were spending the green. So if people called you out of your name, fine. But if they need your bricks, you build the best bricks, they're going to have to come to you, and they're going to have to buy them from you." So there was a large contingent coming out of that period of men and women who were scholarly and who were focused on helping our less sighted people who had been through these horrors and not being able to have access to education, health care, clean anything, to become better citizens and better people. But what's happened since then? Well, of course, the larger machine, is always going to change its gears. First, it was, okay, we're going to allow you to become part of the larger society based upon laws. But other groups of people have benefited from those laws and those changes in those laws that we have not. So if they have a anti-Jewish hate bill and an anti-Chinese crime hate bill, but they don't have an anti-black hate bill, go look it up. Now, I'm always tell you that, go do the research. If there is, let me know, and we'll go back and we'll talk about, what that bill is, or I'll look it up. But I want you all to look it up too, because this is not just a talk show. This should be an interactive show, and I want us to interact by people being able to say, "Hey, look, we do have this. We don't have it. Whatever we do have, so we can build." Because this show, though it's called Black Watch, it's about building. I want us to build something, right? I want us to build something, whether it be an intellectual build or whether it be somebody starts a garden or whatever. So as long as we're building something that's going to be beneficial to our family, that's all that matters. Okay? So I said before we were going to get back in this letter, and I know this sounds like we're jumping back and forth, but we have to connect the dots. And you can only connect one dot by making sure that you understand where that dot is so that you connect it to another dot. All right? First of all, let me pay some homage to one of my teachers that passed away last Saturday. His name was Dr. Neely Fuller. He passed away in Columbus, Ohio at the age of 95. It might have been Cincinnati. But I believe it's Columbus, Ohio at the age of 95. He wrote an amazing book about being able to study the system and defeat it. So as soon as it comes, I'll bring it in and we can start to look at that so we can gain more strategies about how we can be on the winning side of this system instead of the losing side of this system. Back to this letter, right? So we talked a little bit the last time we were together about how there was a group of people that wrote a letter afterwards that were really thanking black people for how much we continue to want to be like another group of people instead of be like us. But okay, let me ask my brother a question. Can I pause that for a second and jump on something else real quick? Okay, all right, I appreciate it. We're gonna come back to this. Okay, so this may be an unpopular notion, right? So this is Black History Month. I would like for us to start to study more about the great cultures that brought us to the world than we are about inventions that don't give us any money for it. Now, we can say those cultures don't give us anything. I get it. Those cultures are thousands of years old. Some of them hundreds of thousands of years old. They are cultures. That's where we come from, what brought us here to the world. And we still have monuments to those cultures. My issue with how we're celebrating Black History Month, and I could be wrong, so I want some feedback. So hopefully our families out there watching. So I want some feedback. I kind of sort of think that what people have come to terms with is that these ideas are okay, but we get no monetary benefit from those ideas. I think I said this before. There's a black man who built the lawnmower, whether it be the push mower or the gas powered mower, but yet John Deere benefits because he took the money from the patent or whatever, and he's the one, John Deere and that group are the ones who are um, making lawnmowers. No black manufacturers of lawnmowers that I know of. The car was done by a man, built by a man in the South named Patterson. And Henry Ford, Buick, GMC, everybody else is benefiting from his invention, and his family, of course, died penniless. I think he was given $15,000 for the car. They brought it up to Detroit or whatever and started to manufacture the car. And even the so-called genius of Henry Ford was only in production. Other people, and there was a black man, and one of my mentors is, one of my teachers, is writing a book on him, is the one who was able to make sure that the differential gearing worked properly. And I can't remember his name, but I'm working on, he allowed me to edit part of a book that he's writing on this man. And his daughter's still alive. So, I think it might be his granddaughter, but his daughter, granddaughter's still alive. And so, there's a black man to make sure that the differential worked in the car so that it could drive and go forward and reverse. And then, of course, it was given to other people. But how does that benefit our community, our family, those people that look like us? And that's what I'm beginning to have some disturbing, I don't know if it's disturbing, but I'm having some conflict with it. Like, it's beautiful that we did made all these inventions, but we're still in the same state as we were before. And I get it, it's supposed to be maybe that sparks an idea in somebody. But then if it sparks an idea for somebody, how can that idea, once it's sparked, be sustaining for the family and for us as the African people in America? And this is something I'm struggling with. So it's okay for people to give feedback if you're out there listening, or if you catch up to it later on. Please give feedback, because I'm okay to change if I'm not exactly correct in how I see it and how I perceive things. But we're always talking about inventors here that invented things under duress. Most of the inventions that were done and created here in this country were done under duress, right? The lawnmower, certain inventions that took place on plantations that were created by African people to make the work the hard work easier, and they never got credit for it. Musically, there was a man named Blind Tom. Go check him out. Take a look at him. And he was a concert pianist, but he was blind, and he was able to listen to music and repeat it back verbatim, even the most difficult pieces of music. And so what happened was the person that owned him would send him out to do different concerts, and whenever he got paid, he kept the money. So the man they called Blind Tom he was a concert genius, a pianist genius, died penniless. Not even a marker. That has since might have been rectified, but when he died in the late 1700s, they just put him in a pauper's grave. Didn't even know where he was, who he was. Right? One of the greatest botanists to ever live, Dr. George Washington Carver, who practically saved the way the United States and many other countries grew crops. Because now he passed away in 1943, but he came up during the Dust Bowl and during the Depression and all of these other times. He used, we give him credit for peanut butter. He's not giving credit for it. So let's stop that right now. It was actually Jif who was actually the one giving credit for creating peanut butter. But Dr. Carver improved it, and then he was able to use parts of the plant to create other inventions from. He even created a strip of road that if you're driving towards Columbus from here, you take 23 South, and you go past the big Pioneer sign down there, the big Pioneer sugar sign, there's a stretch of road that never holds water and never crumbles. His formula, Dr. Carver's formula for creating that road back in the 40s, it was used in this so-called scientific stretch of this road. And there's a sign by it, but it doesn't give credit to Dr. Carver. But if you have an opportunity to look at some of Dr. Carver's works, it'll show that he invented this road this walkway that never holds water. If it snows, then it'll wick the water away, and you never have any slick spots on it. He's given credit for that. He also made a paint, and I was foolish enough to try this before, that when you paint it on a car, it's a plant-based paint. When you paint it on a car, that you can't scratch it. And I tried to. And it was in a car in the Greenfield Village down in Detroit. So, and I hope I'm not telling on the guard, but I'm telling on me. So the guard said that the whitest, what was that? What is that? What is he saying? The whitest thing in the world. This is my guy, Miss Mark. Whitest thing in the world is Jack Daniels whiskey. I literally almost lost my mind when I found out that Jack Daniels couldn't make right. But instead it was African. They call it Uncle Nearest. Yep, there's a sister who's got $1 billion in bondage or whatever, with what she found out. And now she's making a killing, and I'm happy for her.
That's what's up.
Yeah. I'm going to get to that in a second. So this paint on this car, the guard told me it couldn't be scratched. And I'm like, man, whatever. Any paint could be scratched. He said, no, that paint can't be scratched. And he was like, well, you can go over there and look at it. I said, can I try it? You ain't heard nothing from me. And he kind of turned his body away so I wouldn't. I took a key out and I tried to cut into this paint, and it wouldn't cut. It wouldn't scratch. Couldn't mark it. And I tried. I tried to gouge into it and all of this other stuff, and it wouldn't take I couldn't cut it. And this is a plant-based paint that Dr. Carver made in the 20s and 30s. Now, he made many inventions from that, but guess where all of his work is at? Locked up in a vault in the University of Iowa State University's campus. It's locked in a vault. All of how he talked about crop rotation and things like that, and now that we get bits and pieces of stuff. Well, his ideology was able to save the United States from the Dust Bowl in 1933, because what the United farmers were doing was just planting the same crop over and over and over and over and over again, and certain crops deplete the minerals and life out of the soil. Meanwhile, certain crops put minerals and life back in the soil, so they had to learn what crop rotation was. So now you have people that are marrying crops together who plant a pea plant along with a corn plant, because the pea plant will put nutrients and life back in the soil. Meanwhile, the corn plant takes it out. So they balance it out, so then they grow them together. Or what you have happen is you have farmers who don't listen, and they do this on purpose, I think, where they grow these crops over and over and over and over and over again, and then when the soil is depleted and the plants don't grow, what happens is you get, now all of a sudden we don't have any plants, so we can drive the price of the crops up. That's just a possibility. But one of my brothers here, Mark Hutchison, talks about Jack Daniels, right? And Jack Daniels had a man on his plantation, and we're not sure if his name is Ernest or Nearest, but he taught Jack Daniels how to distill. And so Jack Daniels, of course, took credit for the alcohol. Meanwhile, a few years ago, this wonderful sister found out that, and through her research, that it wasn't Jack Daniels, but a man that they called either Uncle Nearest or Uncle Ernest. So there's an alcohol that she starts to put out around the world, a nice bourbon or whiskey or whatever it is, and it's named Uncle Nearest. Pretty decent stuff. I had to sample it for, purposes of making sure that it was really, truly Black history. So, and it wasn't bad. I mean, people like what they like, and it was cool. But, you buy a bottle in support of the Uncle Nearest and the sister, because. And so she just got her company bonded at over $1 billion or whatever the term is, so she's doing really, really well. And that's great. But that's what I'm talking about. There's always been, we talk about these inventions and these ideas that may spark people to do certain things. But we also are talking about during a period of time when people were really students. And I don't think we have that many people who are really students of, not necessarily life, I don't want to say it that way, but how can you make the world better? I recall teaching at an African Center school in Detroit called Instroma Institute. Now, it's closed now, but we still are in touch. I know that even on my social media, I try and stay in touch with some of the alumni, the young people that we had a hand in their life. So, and to hear them every once in a while come up and say they were so happy that they had the grounding of that type of education, that it was important in their life, so as they become adults. Good evening, brother. How you doing? Mr. Gaddis, how you doing? Glad you could join us. So that as they become adults, they're trying to pass it on to their children, and they pass it on to people around them in a circle, because what they learn is that if I learn something about me, that I can pass it on. That helped uplift us, right? But I was a science teacher, and my position in our science classes was we had to solve a problem that Black people had. What's a problem, an issue that Black people had, we had to solve. So being kind of hardcore, just a little bit. I'll never forget this one beautiful child that I have, and she's still my baby, and I know she's married, and I love the fact that I watch on social media, and I'm watching how she's grown and developed into this wonderful young woman. But my intention was to make sure that I told them this. When it comes to science fair time, we competed with 2 other African Center schools in Detroit. There were 3 of them. And we would have our own science fair. But I would always tell them, This science project is going to be the hardest one that you're going to pass. And either if you get an A on the project, you get an A for the class, period. I don't care what I taught after that. And we taught all of this other stuff. We did science experiments. As a matter of fact, I tried to pattern my class similarly to Dr. George Washington Carver, where we would go get a bunch of different junk and put together science experiments with it. You know, it wasn't always go out and call the science lab people to do that or whatever. So we tried to give a variety of experiences for them. And every year, I would try to find a student that I knew I could break on purpose, because we wanted them to understand that when you leave the loving arms of the institute and you go to, because we only went to 8th grade, and you go to high school and then you go to college or wherever you desire to go after that it was going to be hard. That people weren't going to like you. And 6th grade, I had this beautiful young lady, and she broke down. But she broke down because she put so much pressure on herself my expectations are always over here. So she put so much pressure on herself to meet that she literally, she would cry when it would come that time. And I didn't bother. I let her go. She had to go through it because I understood that it was tempering her armor. She didn't get it. She thought I was just being mean. And her parents didn't say a word. They you know, the Nation of Islam, they didn't say, it was like, hey, that's Baba Elliott. You got to do what he say. So the next year, 7th grade, same thing. Put a bunch of pressure on herself, and she didn't. You know, she broke down right before the 3rd year. She said, you're not going to make me cry. I'm tight. I was like, that's all I could do at that point was turn around and smile. Because I'm like, okay, she got it. She had used this huge presentation on, what was it? Hair chemicals? I think one did it on hair chemicals. I think hers might have been on hair chemicals. And so she had a couple of partners, and her partners didn't work out. And when they had to grade each other, she gave them zeros because they didn't work with her. I was like, oh, well, you're going to do all the work? Okay, fine. They showed me their grades, and when we questioned about who did what, it's like, they didn't work with me. So they got zeros, and she got an A. And she broke down crying because that was the first A I ever got. I would always give her A- on purpose. Just being on some messy stuff, right? Because I wanted more from her. And we wanted more, and we always should want more from our students, right? So this stuff doesn't break us, right? This stuff, because we have to understand it's a system, right? It's a system. And so its job is to break us. So if we break, then where the soldiers at? And where the nurses and the doctors and all the other people that we need to have that are taking care of us? So in her 8th grade year, which is where the school ended at, so she went on 9th grade to somewhere else, when it came to science fair time, I gave her an A+. And she started crying and breaking down and all this other stuff. I said, well, okay, now I don't know what you're crying for. You got your A. So, but I thought I'd never get an A+ out of your class or A out of your class, or whatever, because I always give her A-. She'd always be mad. Okay, they'll do better next time, and I'll just walk off. But that's how I was with every student. But she was exceptional, and she wanted more. And she was determined to go get it, and she did it.
I can do it.
Yeah, she was determined to go. We don't do that anymore, right? It's just, we get the bare minimum, and that's fine. No, it's not about getting the bare minimum. It's about giving maximum effort, and she desired it. Now we have to beg students in order to do better. That's insane. That's crazy. We have to beg you to do better, beg you to want better, beg you to, no, for what? Here, I got this baby who's talking about, I'm going to get an A out of your class. Okay, we'll see.
Well, they say it's not a student that failed, it's the teacher that failed to teach.
If you don't desire to have your young people to want to be great, right? Yeah. So in our school, it was every staff person that they saw looked like them. So We knew what they were giving. We knew what they were getting. Their parents knew what they were giving. We were all on board, right? So there wouldn't be parent-teacher conference with one parent. No, parent-teacher conference last started at 4 and ended at 8 or 9 because I'm down in Detroit. I didn't get home till 10 or 11 because I'm there because I'm seeing every parent from every student that I. Now we still had those that was whatever, but those that cared. It wasn't 15 minutes and we out and we talked to the next parent. We gonna sit here and talk. And they would literally say, hey, well, from 8 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the evening, that's your child. And then that's your child forever. Now, I don't care. You deal with him. That's your baby. You know, that's your child. Because we trusted each other and the fact that we're going to give the best account for ourselves as teachers, but for them as students and for the parents too. Because the kids will go home talking about we got homework and you got to help us with homework and you got to sign the homework and to make sure. Because we would test the parents. You couldn't come in our school without knowing certain African principles. That wasn't happening. Now it's the teachers to blame for everything. My child fails this and I don't bring him to school. That's everybody else's fault but mine.
Yeah, that system was weird. Yeah.
I'm trying to understand how that works. If I don't bring my child to school, but I'm blaming you because, but my child did some stuff that was wrong, and now they too feel some sort of way about going to school because somebody gonna mess with them because you shouldn't have done whatever you did in the first place, but it's your fault, the reason why my child don't want to come to school.
Facts.
How about the fact that even though your kid did something wrong, they got to face the consequences of what they did.
And that's called accountability.
Right. Oh. The A word.
Yeah, accountability.
So, when we went to school, you went to school, if you did something wrong and people laughed and joked and messed with you, that's your fault. Yeah. You got to suck it up and take it.
But see, we don't have that no more. We don't have that. We don't, you know what I'm saying?
Because we've fallen back into the system of where the person that's the most important in that child's life, especially in young development, that's, as men, we always want to be in our children's life. I don't know if any man, unless it was a horrible situation, and even in a horrible situation, that's my child. Yeah. I ain't got to mess with you, but I want to deal with my child.
Yeah, I do believe on this. You know, I know that because like I said, I was blessed. Like I said, my old miss was able to send me to my old man.
Mm-hmm.
So I had, you know what I'm saying. But I do understand this, you know, and I know that's a sticky situation. But sometimes mothers make them relationships harder with the dads because,
because he says so.
Yeah.
Because in here it says that if you as the mother understand who the father is, not the man that you got pregnant by, but the man that takes care of you.
Right.
Well, how do I take care of you? Well, now I'll give you Section 8. Now I'll give you food stamp cards. So guess what? That ain't that man that had the baby, that laid up with you to have the child, that ain't the daddy. I'm the dad.
Yeah.
Okay? So therefore, since he can't take care of you, I need to pit you against him.
Yeah.
He puts that in there.
Yeah.
That's in there. Or when you get you a grown woman and your son is a grown man and you still, that's my baby. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Because that's the same thing. It's because you're making them docile.
Yeah.
Right? You're making them docile and effeminate.
Yeah.
And then you want to get mad when somebody checks him as a man and then he has this he overreacts and he reacts like a female, like a woman.
But you know what that come from? It come from slavery.
Absolutely.
Because that the mother, but you know what, and it's twofold. I understood what they was doing.
Yeah.
They was trying to save their babies.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
because they showed them what's going to happen if you don't.
So you coming through that breast milk, you damn near created generation. Because remember, still, what's coming from there, from the mama going into that baby.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, people don't understand that aspect. what you think, and which it all affects
what you eat, what you watch,
mm-hmm.
what you read,
Fine.
what you sense, all of that is food, right?
Yeah.
So if we're feeding ourselves foul stuff, I'm not saying you can't have your drink every once in a while or whatever.
Yeah.
But don't have a drink and you got to breastfeed. Don't be angry.
Yeah, and breastfeed.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So, I'm also saying that as men, even if we don't I'm still going to be here to take care of you and the child. It don't matter.
You're supposed to.
As a man.
Yeah, you're supposed to.
Right. So let me be part of my child's life instead of you turning around, taking a child and turning that into an instrument against me.
Right.
Which is what the system wants. Because then, if it's a young woman, we got something for a way for you to act. And if it's a young man, we got something for a way for you to act too. And then guess what we're going to put you? And guess what we're going to do to you?
Yeah.
So this system, done in 1712, was set up to continue to perpetuate the fact that if we're fighting in my household, then what's the baby going to do? What's the child going to be?
Facts.
If there's no love in my household, then the child going to be loveless. Because that's what you're feeding it. I was just
313 years.
313.
Yeah, you said 1712, right?
1712.
2025.
Yep.
313.
313. And they said if we continue to do what we're doing, we can add another 125 years to it.
Now, when you look at it, because I'm not going to lie, I seen some stuff, and I get it. I've been watching the president, seeing some of the stuff Trump was talking about, what he was doing. They was mad at Elon Musk. Then I had to listen to something. I was listening to brother, I don't want to get his name wrong, but he was talking, and it was like Trump, that's talking about Trump. Survived 2 assassination attempts. Do you think he an instrument? Because we don't know how the
instrument for what?
For what he finna do.
What we better be an instrument for what we need to do.
No, I'm saying what's finna go down. We still gotta practice
we still have to be able to take it. If we don't take care of ourselves and take care of ourselves and worry about ourselves first. Hey man, what did Marcus Garvey say? Race first.
Yeah, but that's how it's supposed to be, because we looking at, they finna tear down the education system. When you look at
guess what? Bring them to me.
That's the point that I was trying to get. We got teachers like you. We got that in the black community.
Yeah.
We have teachers. We have scholars.
Right.
So why we can't, you know what I'm saying, why we weren't
because because that's the distraction, right? Once again, it's a distraction. We'll put something in front of you, we'll wave it in front of you, and you worried about that. Okay, well, they don't want to, let's build our, bro, I've laid out educational plan for over 20 years.
Yeah. How is it that so hard when you hear about like the Heritage Foundation? That ain't nothing but a group of people that got together that you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying all the time groups get together, some are wicked, some are not.
Right.
But how we can't get our scholars together. Do you know how many beautiful scholars that we done had and still got that's probably untapped, ain't on the scene just yet? Right.
And people that, because you have an idea that you want to put in, it's like Heritage, right?
Yeah.
It's charter school. All it was to do was cut money from the public school system because they couldn't fit in the public school, and they think they have a better way, but they don't. I've been there.
Right.
You're not talking about anything any different. International Academy. When I worked there, now maybe not be able to say names. My apologies if I did. But you're supposed to take kids, these young people, and we travel and this and that and other. I ain't seen them go nowhere. Not that they don't have but it's a charter school that's supposed to provide something different. And then when they found out that they couldn't and they had to accept all of the children that they didn't want to take, now all of a sudden you had to take this kid that had special needs and special services and doing right. So now the traveling that they were talking about doing not happening anymore. But you still getting paid. You still getting cut of the check from the state.
Facts.
So as long as you're getting that, then you're okay because you and your people can get paid at the top. Go ahead. You and your people can get paid at the top, and you can continue your mission, right? So we're saying all of that to say that the intake from what the mother takes in, the intake of what the father gives, is very important in order to produce a child that's growing up in a loving environment, right? But let it be African. If you African and you because you have this DNA and this melanin, then let it be so that you are producing someone who is going to be that focused and have that ideology. It's important. Why are we giving it away? The crazy part is we give it away and we're letting any and everybody in to come take part of our culture.
No, we do.
We let any and everybody in. It's okay to have this person in, that person in, the other person in, but they don't want you in their group. And they show us that all the time.
Yeah.
Make it make sense.
Yeah, you got a point.
You know, they show us that, oh, yeah, we might let one or two you safety people in, but we know you safety and we know you're not going to really cause no issue. But if we're worried about, back to your point, if we're worried about education, not a problem. I don't hear people not calling you to talk about getting in touch with me to start tutoring their children and all that other stuff.
Right.
Because you're going to have to pay. And if we get a large enough group, then we can start to do something. We'll find a building. Not a problem.
Right.
But then everybody got to put in. And whatever we need to do in order to do it, trust me, it's going to be a different joint. It's going to be different.
Facts.
It's going to be different. Okay. Yeah. No, we'll leave at 1:45. That's cool, because I know you got to go take care of it. Yeah.
Thank you.
No, man. Heck no. Thank you. Shoot. Yeah. So, it's cool to have these ideas. That's great. But how are we going to make them manifest? When you had, see, the difference is when we have scientists and nurses and doctors or whatever who are going to these schools and they were focused on what they needed to be focused on, you had a completely different outcome.
Facts.
We had a whole bunch of scientists.
Facts.
You had a whole bunch of George Washington Carvers, and you had the scientists all over the place. But what did they cite? What did they do? Oh, yeah, well, we're going to need you over here. We're going to need you over there. We're going to need you here. And they siphoned off that was the issue that I had with Dr. Du Bois telling the 10th. Because as soon as you start to get a group of people, then the enemy going to send their people in and siphon off their power.
Yeah, that's the boule.
Yeah.
Boule.
You have to, look, there's one of my guys, he's passed on. His name was Steve Coakley.
No, that's my guy.
Yeah, we got to get that one on him.
Yeah, we got to,
Yeah, we got to get that one on him.
I got some clips when he was talking about the boule.
Ooh, Steve Coakley was rough.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some clips, and we can probably do that. If you want to do that Sunday.
It's up to you, because I know you got this situation with your family, so I need you to take care of that first.
Yeah, that's tomorrow.
But still.
Yeah, I got you.
You know, hey, man.
Yeah, no doubt. But no, I do want to get off into the boule.
There's a lot of stuff that we need to get into.
Yeah.
You know?
But that boule will explain a lot of what we're seeing now.
Yeah, well, if you're aware, then you know. Yeah. And the issue is that people aren't aware, and it's okay. And I'm not, if people get into fraternal organizations, that's cool. Fact. But what are you getting in it for? Yeah. Because if you're a gatekeeper, who you gatekeeping for?
Right.
You gatekeeping for African people in America, or you gatekeeping for white people in America? Who you gatekeeping for? Right. And most of the people are not gatekeeping for the people that look like them.
Nah, that's what's terrible. That's what's terrible.
Right? So, seeing people get upset about Kamala Harris losing, come on, baby. Let's be real. Let's be realistic.
That's a distraction.
That's all.
Yeah, it was a distraction.
It was a distraction. And I'm going to say this. Having there's 2 assassination attempts on him, right?
Yeah.
There's no way that the other one, the second one, that you have a ammunition that size, get that close without taking something off, other than a tip up in the ear, maybe.
Yeah.
Because if it gets a foot away from you, it's whipping something's coming off.
Yeah.
a foot away, right? About a foot away. Something's gonna come off. If it nicks you, this whole thing. If it nicked his ear, this whole ear's coming off, and a part of the skin of his face is coming off. That's the velocity that thing shoots at.
Yeah. Facts. No, I get you. You right. But I think it was a warning to let you listen, hey, even with that, if it was however
Right.
you want to do it. Because this system, before they let you tear it down,
it's going to take everybody with it.
Yeah, it get rid of it.
It's going to get rid of everybody.
This system will get rid of presidents. You got history of it where they done it.
Yeah.
Then you want to go, we want to start at Lincoln.
Yeah.
You want to start
all of that.
Yeah.
Assassination attempts. Barack had, I'm sure it was more than 2. Oh. Yeah, if it were, we didn't hear nothing about it.
Yeah.
We weren't going to hear anything.
Facts.
Okay. Family, thank you very much for joining us here on Friday. We'll be back on Sunday depending upon what's going on with Uncle Mick. Uncle Mick has had a loss in his family. So please, if you listen or pick this up, send your prayers out to Uncle Mick because he need them. We need to make sure we uplift our brother and this struggle of righteousness, because that's what it is, of right and righteousness. And we appreciate your time. We're going to cut it short here because he's got to go take care of family. Thank you, brother, for having us today. We'll come back and hit them hard again on Sunday. If let me know. Hey, I'm going to say this again. We can wait if we need to. Take care of family first.
Facts.
Okay?
Yeah.
Family first. Because you're going to have a lot on your shoulders for a minute.
For sure.
All right.
Sure.
You're going to have a lot on your shoulders for a minute.
Right.
Whether you think so or not, you the man. So they're going to demand something from you. So, all right?
All
right, fam. Peace.
Peace.
If we see you Sunday, we see you. If not next time, we'll catch you next. Well, we might slide in on a Friday again.
No, we're going to do it again.
Okay.
We're going to keep this,
Okay.
All right.
All right, fam. Peace.
Peace.